Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. I'm with Liz Trotter. Our guest today is Curt Kempton. This is Smart Business Moves.
Woohoo!
Hey,
Curt, how the heck are you, man? It's been a while.
I am so good. You know what? I feel like I've been on an airplane every week for the last 6 months.
Oh, wow.
And life is about to start slowing down a little bit for me. I can't wait to just like spend more time with the people I love, including Tom and Liz.
Wow, thank you. So, you're like taking vacations and going to the beach and other resort locations. I mean, that you're living the life, right?
Well, I will admit to a couple. There were 2 vacations in there. I feel like they're well done. But yeah, I've been in a public speaking school, which required me to go once a month to New Jersey for quite a few months. And then HBS.
I hear HBS. Awesome.
Yeah. So that was great and all that. But I mean, there were a couple vacations and there was a bunch of just little conferences I was going to and consulting I was doing. And it just really required being on an airplane a lot. So now I've I'm actually in Utah right now. I'm not even home. I'm at Jill's office visiting, doing a training for some people. But starting next week, I will be home for almost minus 1 week. I'll be home for 6 months. So
wow.
I'm so thrilled.
Wow.
So,
you're going to convention.
Huh?
Right? Is that the 1 week convention? Is that the 1 week?
Yeah.
You're going to the Artsy convention. All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
The one where you get on stage with other people and hopefully everybody
Tom, what are you doing, Tom?
He can't help himself. He can't help it.
Is there a story there, Curt, that you could share?
Yes, I'd be happy to share this story. I think Liz would want this.
Yes.
So at the last ARCSI, I was asked to speak, and I prepared this talk, got it all ready to rock and roll, and I had the absolute best presenter present me. Liz came up on stage. She goes up there. She's like,
she is good at that. She really is. She brings the energy. She rocks. She's a pro. She does this all the time.
You know what? If she didn't do it all the time, I believe she did in that moment, because she gets up, she kind of nails, makes me sound like I'm worth $1 million. Everybody's going to walk out of that room just full of knowledge. I feel so excited to get up there. And then I think I went up there and I might have taken her a little off guard. I probably hugged her or something Liz, thank you so much.
It was your fault. Your fault.
You pushed her. You just shoved her.
And then when I was done hugging her, I shoved her as hard as I could towards the stairs. And I think she might have bobbled one of the stairs on the way down a little bit. Liz, I'm so sorry. I do that to my kids because I love them so much. And sometimes I just forget.
Oh gosh. Thanks, Curt. That it was fine. I didn't even mind. I only bobbled that one step. That was amazing.
Yeah. And I was glad it was just the one step and that nothing serious happened.
Yeah.
You didn't get hurt, Liz?
No, he didn't break any of my ribs, unlike you, Tom, when you broke
Oh no.
Well, Liz takes me to Seattle and she's showing me around, her home state. We're down at some park with people smoking crack. And the next thing I know, Liz is laid over, fell off the sidewalk, and the dress was over her head. And there was some moaning. I mean, it was a scary moment for me. I still have nightmares.
Tom, I can't believe that you are right here, lying out in front of all of these people. Tom, somebody's gonna strike you down. You better.
Between Tom and I, Liz should never go into public ever again.
No, right? Oh gosh.
Without being wrapped in bubble wrap, anyway.
All right, you guys, let's talk about the topic, which is.
But before we do that, Liz, you know what today is?
Is it report day?
It's Jolts Day.
Hey, I love Jolts Day. All right.
And I'm working off of one screen here, so I'm not sure I can do this though. I am capable of doing this.
All
I
right.
can't wait to find out what Jolt's Day is. I'm not on
Ooh,
Facebook. But I don't get to follow you because I'm not on Facebook. So this is going to be
You're gonna love Jolt's Day. So
okay.
Okay. This is a report every month that the Bureau of Labor Statistics puts out, and JOLT stands for job openings. I should know this, and labor turnover. Okay.
Okay.
And the whole gist of this is, and they're always like a month behind. So the June numbers are the ones that they announced today. And guess what? The number of job openings has gone down by about 600,000. That's not a trivial amount.
yeah,
No.
You know, last month it was a peak at like 11.3 million job openings, and there's only like 6 million people looking for jobs. So we were like last month, it was almost like 2 job openings for every person looking for a job. Great news. There's now like 1.8 job openings for everybody looking for a job.
but better.
You feel better?
Yeah.
Yes,
That's what progress looks like. I'm telling
That's
you,
right.
that's actually great.
it is. I agree, and it's gonna get better next month, right?
Yeah.
So it can't jump all in one month. Well, I
Yeah.
mean,
And if gas prices are any indicator too, like they're following that same trend that, you know, there's been really good improvement going
Yeah.
drop in the price.
Yeah, it's a lot of good numbers are moving in our favor. You know, it's just going to take a little bit of time. I think a lot of room for optimism here. You go down to leisure and hospitality, which is kind of the closest thing you can find in their data that, you know, reflects maybe a demo from the population that we hire, and it was like 1.45 million last month, and it's like 1.2. So that was a drop of like 200, about 250,000 just off of hospitality and leisure. So that's even more encouraging.
Yeah.
Tom, check those columns. Are you sure it's not 1542 down to 1451?
You're right. I lied.
Yeah, it's
You gotta
not
keep
good.
an eye on me. 1.5 to 1.4. Okay. Yeah.
Not as good, but
It
that's
still dropped, but about 90,000, I guess.
Well, that's almost a sixth of all the jobs that opened up. I mean, if you look at all the different sectors, that's got to be one of the better sectors for improvement.
I'm
But,
happy.
yeah, we'll take that as progress.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely take that. All right, so that takes us to
What's our topic this month?
leadership.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad that we have you here as to jumpstart the month on leadership, Curt. I feel like you really, like, I'm serious. This is my serious face, right? I feel like you bring a bit of leadership to everything you talk about. I always hear you weaving that into all your communication, right? How you're going to do things better. You're going to lead better. So I think it's great to have you leading this off.
Well, thank you.
Lead our leadership.
The leadership leader. Well, now I think we got a problem here. But actually, Liz, the reason you've always noticed that common thread that I bring up leadership is that fundamentally, as business owners, I believe that when we started our business, we tried to create, and to a different extent, with a different message in every person, but I believe that every person who started a business is trying to create a new megaphone into the world to put either a message or a feeling or some sort of substantial change into the world. Now, I get it. A lot of people start their businesses because they're hungry and they need to eat. So fair enough. That's fine. But it doesn't take long once you get your business going to realize you're interacting, whether it's through marketing or direct like customer relationships, you're interacting with the world in a way that normies don't. So when I refer to normies, like normies are people who get up, they get in their car, they punch in, they punch out, and they trade their time for money. But as entrepreneurs, there's so many more plates that we're spinning that we're trying to keep from breaking. And we have impact on the world. And it's crazy because once you start like serving your customer well enough, you have to hire employees. So then you have to actually start putting your impact out into the employee world. So you start touching these little ripples, like you touch your employee and you have them like guided by a set of the values and principles that you follow. And then they go into the home of, your customers and they perpetuate that. And if you don't instill those, then obviously, other things can happen, like their own values or lack thereof can cause that ripple effect. And it's sort of like, I feel like entrepreneurship is the ongoing struggle and journey of perpetuating your message so much stronger than a normie will ever get a chance to experience. And if you abdicate the role as an entrepreneur and you just ignore the fact that you've got to do that, what ends up happening is that whatever your baseline default is, which some of us might not be very proud of, especially when left to its own devices, is that baseline of what we put out in the world really isn't all that great or special. And I feel like in a place like this, where we're talking to people who are trying to better themselves, in a place like this, we're talking to people who are ultimately trying to improve themselves, trying to level up their business, trying to level up their employees, trying to make themselves different and stand out from the competition. And now all of a sudden it becomes good news. Your competitor's baseline level is sort of like just left to its own devices. But if you're in a place like this where you're trying to raise your baseline level, where your employees are going to settle to, now all of a sudden you have this huge opportunity to stand out from the competition. But you also have this thing when you go to bed at night that's going, I put good into the world and I do it far more powerfully than just one person getting up trying to be a good person even has the resources to do.
Yeah, because you're sending out through your whole company. I know that was, if I didn't know better, Curt, I think you practiced that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been rehearsing for this all day.
I might think that you were in some type of a speaking course or.
Yeah.
I'm inspired. I just had no idea. I'm feeling better about myself.
I know. Okay, so let's talk about the kind of, I guess it's not a monkey in the room since we're all in 3 different rooms, but what about recession and leadership, right? I mean, we have to talk about recession with regards, or leadership with regards to the recession.
Monkey in the room, is that even a thing?
Yeah.
I think she's an elephant in the room, but if
in my world it's monkeys.
How about the groundhog or the gazelle? I mean,
monkeys are crazy. They're like all jumping off the walls. It's much more destructive than elephants, y'all.
That's actually true. I love that you rewrote an age-old saying to actually make it better.
Yes, much better. Monkey in the room.
I'm going to write that down. Monkey in the room. Okay.
That was the most Liz thing I've heard all day. No,
yay.
I actually think that what you're saying is super duper important. Like, COVID, I thought COVID was going to be the time to define who I was. And frankly, I spent a lot of time sort of doing a lot of self-improvement stuff during COVID because it felt like that was the circle of influence that I could have the most power in. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that during COVID just kept, and I'm curious about you too, during COVID, I kept wondering, why is our economy not tanking? Like, I kept thinking the whole time, no one's working, house prices are going through the roof, they're giving out free money everywhere I look. What is going on? This can't work. And it was working. Like, gas prices were fine. Everything was fine. Just don't leave your house. Okay, you can leave your house, but wear a mask. Okay, some industries can work, some industries can't. Restaurants are all closed down. They're starving out there, Excuse me. So I knew this was coming, and here it is.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
We are. We knew there had to be. There is no way that we could print that much money and have there be no fallout. That's just not a thing. But still, I don't know. Then you hit the word recession, and it's just like, okay, now it's really here, and it's kind of like still people feel like they need to make like a bigger shift. People are like, oh, now it's here, now it's real. And I think it's a lot reactionary to just the word recession. It's like a lot of people don't even really have a clue what exactly that means, but it's bad. Okay? So
it's interesting though. The traditional economic definition for recession is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth, negative GDP, and we had that in Q1 and Q2, and there's still a lot of argument. Is this really a recession? The federal government is saying that it's not really a recession. They're pointing to the job numbers being so high or being so low, depending on what you look at it. There's relatively no unemployment, and typically, recession goes along with a lot of people losing their jobs, and we're not really seeing that. There's still 1.8 jobs out there for everybody looking for a job. So, the stock market has been rocking over the last several last week and a half. Anyway, today was another good day. There's a lot of reasons to think that the economy really is doing pretty good right now.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of optimism out there. You can slice it so many different ways, but I think that the business owners that I'm talking to are ultimately feeling negative effects of the inflation and the and the job market, the way that minimum wage and living expenses are playing into like what it costs. And I feel like, to go to the term leadership, I feel like when I talk about COVID being a self-defining time, just a personal defining time, I feel like this moment is an opportunity for some major leadership defining times. Debbie Sardone talks about the buffaloes charging into the cloud, the storm versus away, the cows running away. At the end of the day, like, we know what we as leaders want in the big scheme.
Mm-hmm.
The way we're going to achieve it now is probably a little bit different than the way we previously envisioned. It's going to take creativity, and I feel like leaders not only have good ideas, but they know how to get good ideas out of others. And this show right here, this live, is frankly, the people who come here are looking for ideas, ways to get better. They're going to hone themselves, their teams, their companies, and
very smart, talented people who value their time and want to invest it in things that will be helpful to them
and make smart business moves, right?
That's right.
Yes. Absolutely.
But it is true. But it is true.
And I do feel like the defining time really just comes down to the fact that are you going to put your head in the sand? I think at COVID we learned that you can put your head in the sand because there's so many things that you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But they say fortune favors the what?
The bold.
The bold. The people who are the curious. The people who are going to try new things. Fortune's going to favor those who don't bury their head in the sand. And COVID was one set of obstacles. How nice is it that we can go out and work now? Like, there was a time when you couldn't do that.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, there's so many nice things going on, giving us opportunities to lead. And we have this very familiar experience of what we learned through COVID that I think is just one more arrow in the quiver for a recession. But frankly, the recession is where all of the great companies stand up and away from the rest. It's traditionally that's where it always happens.
Yeah.
So that time not so bad.
It's an opportunity, isn't it? I mean, what you described earlier in terms of taking the risk to be an entrepreneur and the people you're touching and the good and the value you're adding. I mean, it's easy to let the weight of the world beat you down sometimes, but you can't lose sight of the fact of the good that you're doing and the opportunity you have. And, this is a time when your competitors a lot of times will start hanging their head. You might see businesses going out of business, right? So
Costing you very, very little money. Very little money. When someone's disincentivized to run their business anymore, and there's no more good help out there, well, they've got a customer list and a phone number and a website, and, and other assets that might cost you very, very little to take someone who's disenfranchised and
help them out of their situation.
help them out.
Right. And help them out and help them get on to something that they would enjoy more and that is less stressful and harder for them or easier for them to move forward with what they want to do.
Can you imagine doubling your business by like some sort of crazy little tiny payment plan with someone who's just tired? I mean, you could double your business and say, I don't have the cash right now, but here's what I'm thinking. Every customer on your customer list that I do a job for, I'll give you X number of dollars, and it fits into your profit model, right?
Yeah.
And you go, how cool is this? I don't have to come out of pocket for any of it, and I just doubled my business.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen more than once.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we saw it happen a lot during COVID. So I'm wondering if, I don't know, what are your thoughts on this? Many business owners were really, really scared when COVID first hit, and then as it progressed, and it didn't get less scary for a really, really long time, right? People were living in this state of fear for so long. I'm wondering if the people who, worked through COVID and continued to try and grow their businesses and stay put, if they're just going to, or I guess we, right, all three of us at least, if we are just going to, just another blip in the road. It doesn't feel as big coming off of COVID as it did. No, it really doesn't.
It's not as scary. It's not as scary. Once you but here's what it is it's tiring. And I think that those people who are tired become very incentivized sellers. So, one of the things that I think is really interesting as we talk about like doubling or tripling your business by just this acquisition model, if you're in a position where you've done something great and you're in that mode where you're grinding and you're pushing your business forward and you've got systems in place, congratulations to you. Blessings to you. I hope you know how blessed you are. That's great. But for that person who's been hanging on and just doesn't want to keep doing this anymore, they didn't want to sell to you when the economy was fantastic. They don't want to sell to you when it's really easy to hire employees for really low wages.
Right.
They're not interested. They have a money tree that just perpetually puts out money. And when they're tired of tending to that tree, taking care of it, and the tree maybe doesn't have as much fruit on it hanging as it was before, that's where you find the incentivized people. So I'm just speaking to those people who have done the work ahead of time, who still have the strength and the wherewithal, that are doing great things. Like, Merry Christmas. Here's your recession. You're very welcome.
Comparing this to COVID is COVID was an unprecedented event. We really didn't know how that was going to turn out.
No.
We've had recessions in the past, and we've gone through some, and some have been worse than others, but we know what's on the other side of a recession.
Right.
Well, and we know there is another side with COVID.
Yes. The uncertainty.
It was unprecedented.
Yeah.
And you know what, Tom, that point, isn't it easier to lead when you know what the outcome is? Like,
absolutely.
Come on, everyone, courage, troops. We know what's beyond, like, okay, like, because you've got the conviction in your voice to know that recessions come to an end.
Yeah. Okay, so this one you guys won't be able to relate to as well, but our women watchers will. It's kind of like having a baby. You know what? If you are, and bear with me here, pun intended. All right. So when you
I've had children before, Liz. I know what it's all about.
oh yes, Tom, you absolutely know.
Hardest
Okay.
4 9-month cycles of my life. Go ahead.
Let's say birthing a child. All right. So birthing a child, if you had that amount of pain, regardless of how strong it is.
Being a coach and the breathing, that whole, you think that's a walk in the park? Go ahead. Finish your point.
I've also been a coach. So yeah, it's pretty darn easy actually, if you want to talk about it. So, but if you're to have that level of pain, however hard you think it is, okay? When you're going to get a baby at the end, it doesn't really matter while you're in it, you're at the end, you're going to get a baby, right? So whether I'm in labor an hour, 4 hours, 3 days, whatever, however long it is, at the end, I'm getting a baby. It's doable, totally doable. People keep having babies, right? They're not stopping having babies. But if I'm in this crazy amount of pain and I don't know what it is, I'm scared, I'm panicked, I want the ER, I don't know that I'll make it through. You hear people when they're in tons of pain, they're like, I just want to die. I just want to die. You never hear anybody in childbirth saying
there's certainty in death.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you know what you're getting at. There's an end. So same thing here with recession. Right?
I tried that after our third child. Rachel was in labor and they couldn't get her the epidural until it was a whole pain in the neck to get it to her. But literally. I know,
I'm like, in the neck. Really? That's
anyway, I get the point.
Anyway,
yeah.
So anyway, our third child was born, and Rachel, she just got worked. And at the very end, the baby's there. She's holding the baby. I said, "Hey, hon, you ready to get started on the next?" Because I was thinking, here's the time to sort of plant the seed. Like, no, I think I'm done. Like, just if I could get her to say it, then at that point we'd be able to kind of build off of that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I guess this is probably it, huh? I'm like, guess we're done. And she's like, I think I could do one more. And I'm like, you haven't forgotten yet?
They get easier as you have more, Kurt. It gets easier.
Well, that one was the hardest one for sure for her, but and luckily our fourth one actually was. I'm not going to use the term walk in the park. No man's allowed to ever refer to a pregnancy that way. But I will say, of all four, that one was like the least inconvenient for her. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. And your wife would say that that one was much easier. So you're safe saying that, Kurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is very true that everything is easier when you know what's on the other side and you have confidence that you are going to make it through. Everything's going to be over. It's just that confidence of getting through. And I'm sure you guys know this too. You both have had multiple children. Every birth and delivery is different. So really, your second one, the first one, you have no idea what you're to expect, but you know you're going to get through it, right? Similar to a recession. We don't know what we're going to deal with, but we know we're going to get through it. The second one, you think, oh, I got this piece of cake I've been through. But that delivery is different than the first one, but you still know, still going to get through it. I still have no doubt. And I'm sure fourth child is the same, different delivery, but you still know you're going to get through it, right? I've only gone through 3, so I'm not sure about that fourth one, but I'm guessing.
I'll vouch for it.
And same thing with recession. Yes, many of us have been through at least one, right? Or one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're an adult, you've been through a couple. Like the 80s had a really bad one. Oh, yeah, working like your business through it. But Liz, one of the things that I think is important to consider too is that it will probably require you to make decisions that you don't want to make. And I think that's where the leadership part comes in. Is we keep talking about it oh, just go buy another business and be gritty. But it might also mean I got to let someone go. Or it might mean that you have to make a budgetary decision that really sucks, but if on the other side, that confidence still plays into that.
Still does.
And if you know that what you're doing is worth it, you know, you talk about, if I know there's a baby at the end, it's worth it, right?
Yeah.
Well, if the business that you're building is truly an extension of who you are and a piece of your DNA is being expanded, then what is this for? If you can check in with yourself, what is this all for? Hopefully the answer that comes back says, you know what, I'm going to make a really painful decision right now. But this decision doesn't define me. This decision is my capacity to learn from past experience.
Yeah.
Or if you haven't necessarily learned it yet and you have to learn it for the first time, just through whatever brutality may be, it's an opportunity for that confidence to sharpen you. Now, I say brutality. I've had to let an employee go before that was an amazing employee, but financially, based on, I'm thinking about the 2000 like crash, not 2000, was it 2011, 2009?
9, 10.
Yeah. I had to let a guy go that was a phenomenal person. It was not his fault. He had a wife and 3 kids. And I thought, dude, you don't deserve this. But if I don't let you go, you won't have a company to work for. Like,
Right.
We've got to do this. It was really painful. Sucked so bad. I hated it so much. In fact, even when I look back on it, like I get this sick feeling in my stomach. But you know what? When I came out of that meeting, my company was back in the black. And actually, I stayed. It's funny. I stayed in touch with him for like 6 months after that. We were kind of constantly talking, like, how's it going? He ended up finding a great job, landed on his feet. Everything turned out great for his family.
Nice.
In that moment, though, it just hurt like crazy.
Yeah.
And it was the best that it was good for my business, and I was able to draw a paycheck, which was great for my family. But that experience taught me so much about, like, you can be the nice guy, it's fine, but you need to fully understand through the confidence of being a business owner that if you don't look at this from the long-term perspective, no one else will do it for you.
Right.
Mhm.
You're it. The buck stops with you. You've got to be looking at things in a different way. And sounds kind of bad, but a lot of people in our industry, because of the way we cash flow, right? And so there's always money coming into the bank all the time. A lot of times we will see that people aren't thinking about their businesses at all. They're just day to day working in their businesses. But during something like this, people are going to have to actually think deeper about their business. Think about what they're doing.
And you know, when we started the discussion, Curt, you touched upon what is the motivation for an entrepreneur to start their business. And, you know, you said, well, we all need to eat, right? The whole food and shelter thing. But it's a lot more than that. You know, people, it's a scary time. You're talking about, you know, I'm afraid of the recession. I'm afraid of COVID. Starting a business, be it, you know, you're buying a business that's existing or starting one from scratch, is really scary too.
Oh, yeah.
And you did it with a lot of motivation and vision of grand things that you could accomplish and ways that you could contribute, much more than just the food and shelter. And then the whirlwind gets you and the weight of the world beats you down. And then, you know, you fall into kind of the mentality that Liz was describing. That doesn't happen by accident. That doesn't happen overnight. And, you know, it sounds like this whole recession thing, or the prospects of one, is just another opportunity to double down, take a deep breath, get back into the frame of mind of why you were doing this to begin with, make tough decisions, be the leader that all your stakeholders need you to be. The story that you were sharing, Curt, with having to let somebody go, that was for the bed, you know, there's a ton of other people that are depending upon a paycheck from that business. There were customers that were depending upon you. I mean, there's, you know, it takes a lot of courage to make this thing work. A lot of courage to be the leader that all the stakeholders need us to be.
And you know, that moment that you make that hard decision, it's funny how when you'll be in other situations that are easier than that, but on their own are hard, They become easier. It's those decision-making muscles that you build up. And to be honest with you, probably, and I hate to say it because I'm just remembering how terrible that day was, but I hate to say it, that was probably one of the best growing leader experiences of my entrepreneurial life. There are decisions that I think would have probably crippled me since then that I've been able to make in like a flash. Part of it is just knowing that everything works out. Good people in the situation I gave, good people are going to land on their feet. You just don't see a lot of good people homeless on the street begging for money. And when I say that, it's not to say that people on the street that are begging for money aren't good people. They're probably not the kind of people that you have working for you in high capacity. They're, usually they're mentally ill, addicted to drugs. So when you have this really good, powerful person, and you got to let them go, and I know I'm making this decision to sound like it's always about employees or something like that, but it's about so many different things. But when you know that making a hard decision always turns out great for everyone, as long as you're doing it for the right reasons, it adds to your confidence. But you don't believe that. Like if someone listening right now has never been in this situation, they'll say, well, I'm glad it worked out good for him, but it won't be that way. And that's fine, because you're going to think that until you've been through that fire. And we can get into the whole, how do you refine gold, right? You heat and pressure, and there's this whole painful process that the gold has to go through in order to become pure. And I think entrepreneurship is very much the same, is that when you have limited experiences, you will be limited in your abilities as an entrepreneur. Adding a recession to your belt buckle or to your as another badge of honor that you're going to wear when you come out, it's going to make you a better entrepreneur. But no one in the middle of it wants to hear that, especially if it's their first time around. Like, ugh.
But but we need to think that way, because if you're not thinking that way, and I'm speaking personally here, when I find myself not thinking that way and getting into this, even as I begin to slide maybe into a doom and gloom mindset, everything is harder.
Mm-hmm.
It is
That's
less.
True.
It's true. It's less guaranteed that I'll get out of it if I allow that mindset to shift down. So even if you're thinking, well, maybe not, you can't let yourself think that way. You have to think, absolutely, I will make it through, because that's where you're going to have the best results, up there in that mindset. Even if it doesn't work out, that's still going to get better than you would have gotten in the negative mindset. So you got no option.
So when you're faced with having to do the hard thing, rather than, it's really easy to slip into, oh, guys, this sucks, I really hate doing this. Celebrate the idea that you have the opportunity to be the leader that everybody needs you to be, and you're going to be doing a good thing.
Yeah,
it's going to end up working out well for everyone. Like Curt was saying, right? Even his guy, it worked out better for him.
Yes, he did. He landed well on his feet. One thing I want to point out too is that as a leader, I have found the more I have gone into like business. So now it's Responsibid, right? And I don't have any other businesses. It's just Responsibid. And I have a dozen employees that work for me. Every single one of those employees is better at their job than I was when I did their job. And I feel like this is like one of those times when you need to reflect on that, is as we go through this recession, your duty as a leader is to get people to their highest and best purpose for the good of your organization. And so where maybe previously you were using people at a high level of purpose and maybe a good purpose, right? Are they at their highest and best use of who they are? Do they have ideas? Do they have means of being able to provide additional, even leadership below you? in your business. The fact is that scrappy people. Oh, I'm reminded of. You guys ever saw that Leonardo DiCaprio movie, Catch Me If You Can? You guys ever see Catch Me If You Can?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So his dad is a little boy. He had this story. He'd always tell him. He never even had to hardly finish it because 2 mice fell into a bucket of milk, cream, right? And he says one mouse went in and he felt overwhelmed and he drowned. The other mouse, he fought and fought till he turned that cream to cheese and he walked away. I feel like that's another really cool thing is it's not just personal that in these hard times that you can turn that cream into cheese and walk away. You can do that for your team. This is one of our beautiful opportunities as an entrepreneur and a leader is that if you change your mindset from my goal is to make as much money as I can, and you move it from like that robotic approach to if I make these people the best they can possibly be from knowing me or being part of this organization, they will make my organization better and they will bring the profits will come. The profits will come because you're going to be doing the right things for the right reason. So anyway, I just think a recession is a big opportunity for that.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, we hammer hard on anytime there's adversity, that's an opportunity in disguise, right? You got to recognize, ooh, yeah, that's an opportunity. Even if I can't see it right now, I know it's there. I've got to peel it away until I can see the opportunity in it. All right. So we've been talking a lot about what do you have to do, what's going to happen, etc. But I'm going to ask now a how question. So we have to communicate this message to our people, right? We have to show them our level of confidence. We have to prove to them that we are going to make it through and that our company is going to come out of this bigger, better, stronger, and that we're doing all of the things and to get us there, right? We have to pass that message on. How do we do that? What are some of the things that we have to say? How often do we have to talk about it? Let's dig into how just a little bit.
Oh gosh. I think so the cool thing is, I believe, and I'm actually curious if you guys have any thoughts on this too, but I believe that the best part of entrepreneurship is that there isn't a big thing. There's a bunch of little things that add up. It's the beauty of your DNA. It's like millions of tiny little, billions of little things, right? Yeah. So what you're saying, Liz, like we can make a pretty nice long list, and I think it'd be really cool because people could carry them out in different ways. But the first way I think you hit on is the mindset, and then letting that mindset drive you. You're going to have to be intentional about this. You're probably going to do things differently than you've done them in the past. So it's going to require you to change your habits. The first way I change a habit is I get a piece of paper down and I start writing down what I want to stop doing and what I want to start doing, or what habits I want to stop and what habits I want to start. So sharing in the wins. Let's say you get a nice review on Google about the company.
Yeah.
Previous to the recession, you probably wouldn't say much. You say, hey guys, we got a review. And that's it, right? Yeah. But now maybe you want to stop that habit of just trivializing it, and you want to have some sort of like really personalized way that megaphones it out to all the employees, or at least elevates that good news. It's a tiny, tiny thing. It's like almost inconsequential. But when somebody's wage was able to rise this much, but the cost of living has risen this much, we've got to start figuring out how to sort of like reimburse that gap.
Yeah.
With the way inflation's working, we're fighting like crazy to raise our prices and get them up to where rent requires it to be now, but it's a process. And so reimbursing that gap might require like pulling someone aside and just saying, I need you to know that your name was in that review. I am beaming right now. Like, it doesn't cost you any money and it's tiny, but now add that to the fact that you are spending 15 minutes a day talking to people about maybe transparent things that you as a leader never shared before. Maybe now you're going to start talking about I used to spend this much money on marketing. I can't spend that much on marketing anymore. I need you to put flyers in the 10 doors nearest the houses that you're cleaning right now.
We need you.
We do.
Right? We need you to do this. So we were doing 6. It's not enough anymore, y'all. We need to do 10 now. Right? Yeah. We used to do a 6-pack. We do a 12-pack now. We gotta get up there and we gotta do it more. And it's gotta be us.
Yep.
So we talk a lot about this idea, matter, meaning, measure, and autonomy. And I think that this is where matter, meaning, measure, and autonomy can really make a huge difference, because it fills that gap, right? We can only get to here with money, but especially right now, there's all of this movement, and people are feeling like, where should I go? How do I, there's just so much uncertainty everywhere still. And the recession is not going to make that a whole heck of a lot better for a lot of people. But we can fill that gap with showing people how they matter to us and to the company, showing them the meaning that we're bringing.
That's right.
Then, giving them that measure of, look, before we did this, now we're doing this. This is amazing. Even if it's only this much, we thought we were going to shrink. Look, we're doing better, right? And then right now, how important is it for people to feel like they need autonomy more so than any time in the past, or in the recent past anyway, that I know about. So we have a great opportunity.
Well, actually, in the age of COVID, you look at all the people who are working from home.
Yeah.
And you go, hey, you can't work from home. Not when you're cleaning houses. But here's some autonomy. There is something to be said for that trust and that autonomy. Like, I really am glad you brought that up, because I remember making a couple changes that we made in our cleaning company that allowed people to have dictation over their own raises and how fast they would onboard themselves into the company and go through the training and stuff. And we had the certification process. I'll tell you what, that was that autonomy that came along with it was maybe the biggest attitude shift that I was able to, and I did some crazy stuff. We did customer parties, we would have parties for our customers that we'd invite them to with these big celebrations and stuff. And we would do all sorts of crazy stuff. But I'll tell you what, giving them the autonomy over themselves was, I just can't think of anything that we did that brought more attitude shift in a positive way than anything. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Autonomy is so huge, such a empowering thing for people. And it seems like that's something that's going to be needed as we're working through this recession. People are going to, because while we are able to maybe keep our mindsets up and look at the opportunities and see what's coming down the pike for us and be able to see, okay, yes, this, and use our confidence to build us up. Our employees, not as much. It's a little bit harder for them. So anything that we can add and let them take our confidence, right? Use our confidence, give them some more, build them up. That's a win for all of us.
The autonomy dimension of this, I guess it's so much easier to see now post-COVID. I mean, just the way everything's changed.
Yeah.
Do you think that need has always been there, or do you think that's something that has evolved due to the unprecedented events we've been managing over the last few years?
I think that people have always needed a level of autonomy, but they didn't get it necessarily at work. They got it somewhere else because
it wasn't even expected at work.
It wasn't something that you would get from work. It was kind of like, you're not going to work expecting to get ears of corn either. It's not something that you're looking for from work. Right? So I think it's that. What do you think, Curt?
Yeah, I think it was always craved, but never expected. Yeah. Or at least very little expected. Certainly in our industry, one of the things that I did to level up my company was that in my interview process, I told people, if you're coming here to be a laborer, you're going to be miserable. We're looking for customer service representatives who want to move into leadership. That's who we're looking for. And if you just want to be told what to do every day, And if you want to stand out in the hot sun and just wash windows and pressure wash buildings and like inhale chemicals, you're going to hate it here because that's not what we do.
That's awesome.
And it just
I would play the chemical part down if I was you, but just
Gosh, I don't know, Curt. You're really like bumming me out. I really did want to just stand in the sun.
yeah. Well, in Phoenix, Arizona, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
So one of the things I noticed though is that if we had an interview like that, it evolved this really special way through the first part of them coming into the company, is that they're like, oh, so I can be more. I applied for this job thinking that's all I could be, a laborer.
Yeah.
And I happened upon this company that's going to make me read 3 books about customer service, how to win friends and influence people, delivering happiness, and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm going to have to read these books and write reports, and then I'll be able to be a manager in the company, and I'll be able to and all these opportunities for growth personally and within the company. And these ways of, so I know people always craved it, but when I say that people didn't expect it, I think that in our industry, people are like, I'm going to get used up here until they burn me out, and then I'll just see what other opportunity I can do after that. If you can derail that line of thinking and get them into a place where they feel truly blessed and measured. One of the things that Tom was talking about earlier is like you started your business with one thought in mind, and you get in the trenches, and at that point, Mike Tyson said everyone has a good plan until they get punched in the face. Like we have a good plan until we get punched in the face. We have a good plan until we start our own business. You get into the business and you just automatically go back to primal, like, I got to survive today, One of the beautiful things I think that we can do here is that get that fleeting thought that didn't have time before, we bring it right to the forefront. Look, if you're struggling, here's an opportunity for you to change your mindset. Sit down and think about what can be different. Now, I've brought up ideas that don't cost any money. Another idea that I was thinking of that people could do right now that would be fun for them, their employees, good for their business. Everyone's afraid of getting in front of the camera. I don't know why. TikTok came along and all of a sudden, I guess everyone's okay with it or whatever. But here's the thing. You could be writing scripts, 30-second, 60-second scripts that explain why your business is different. Then you can have a fun time riffing with a bunch of people who maybe don't have as much work as normal, turn a positive into a negative or a negative into a positive, and go, let's record a video to put on Facebook. That video camera in your pocket, all right, yeah, right here, that is a better camera than Audrey Hepburn ever stood in front of.
Yeah.
Audrey Hepburn, she had to deal with the garbage stuff. Now you are afraid of getting in front of a camera. You're carrying a Hollywood quality camera in your pocket, and you have people who have thought of things and have ideas, and you guys can riff things back and forth. We're not asking for a masterpiece. You don't need to build Les Miserables. All you have to do is just build a funny little something to share in your community groups. Guess what? You're going to have a great time. It's a good use of your time. It's something you'll be able to use forever from now on once it's on video. You can bring it out and repost it anytime you want. And who knows? Those people who are not happy with their house cleaner that's about to go out of business anyway, you just took this recession and you turned it into something that actually could be really fun. And a 60-second video could take you a whole day to record. Or you might get 5 or 6 of them done in a day. But either way, you got something new.
Well,
it's good. I like it.
We are approaching the top of the hour, and I want to make sure that we don't get away without making sure everybody know who Audrey Hepburn is. There might be a few people out there. Yeah, you're not that old, Curt.
I'm a geezer. I grew up watching her movies.
Okay.
Me too. All right, but let's pop up some Responsibid. Good job, Tom.
Tell us a little bit about your day job. What you're into.
Well, we're all about building cool customer journeys. So we talk about our software. Responsibid is a sales funnel automation software. But at the end of the day, what we do is we make buying difficult things like home service easy. So maid service, for example, someone calls you up and they're like, hey, how much would it be to clean my home? Oh, it's going to buckle up, Buttercup. Let's get into this and start figuring everything out. how many cats do you have, and you know, your kids leave boogers all over the light switches. So there's a lot of stuff you got to figure out. Our whole thing is that you can make this actually really cool for you, so that you're getting profitable pricing. You can make it so that you're showcasing your company's value. You can do it in a systematized way, and you can do it in a way that your customers actually enjoying themselves. So we built the software. It focuses on quoting, follow-up, and scheduling. We are not a CRM. So like Made Central is a CRM. Like your schedule's in there. Our scheduler that we use actually connects to whatever schedule you're using, assuming that it has like a way to read it. And I hate to say it because we're not connected directly to Made Central, but the thing is that as you use our software, even if you weren't connected directly to your CRM, you can build your whole sales process in it, and it makes it so that when your customer goes through, their focus isn't on how much to clean a toilet. It's more about, do you want to be this happy or this happy or this happy? And that value anchor is sort of what we use in our follow-up automation and in our quote presentation, so that when people are trying to get going with you, the hurdle is lower, but the clarity is a lot deeper.
So if you absolutely, it's 2022, you know, if you're giving quotes over the phone, working off of a spreadsheet, you know, how many square foot, well, this is what what your price is, then you have an opportunity to be creating a lot more value in your business. If you have a professional tool, you can get better pricing. You can get more gross profit off of every job you do if you've got a professional tool to do it. So if you don't have one, Responsibid is an awesome product, and definitely worth a look. If they want to know more about what you do and how Responsibid works, is the easiest thing to do to go to your website.
Yep, you go to the website. There's scheduling a free demo right there. That's if you want to like get into it and like sort of explain what your current customer journey is, and then like talk about how that might look and how it could possibly be improved, automated, and stuff like that through our software. There's a chat bubble down in the bottom right corner too. That little blue circle. There's someone there. If you want to chat, maybe they won't be there after hours, but they get back to you the next day. But one of the things people are most proud of when they talk to us is that, wow, your customer service is amazing. If you read our reviews on Google, like there's almost not a single review that doesn't bring up our people. And it really just has to do with the fact that we're super jazzed to be part of engineering your customer journey the best it can possibly be. So we get pretty hands-on with you. We have a whole team trained specifically in helping you to sort of download your brain and break it down into what your journey is, and then help you systematize how it actually will be implemented.
Well, and just a quick comment, because I know we do have to go, Tom. But I talk to a lot of business owners that use or have used Responsibid, and this is a huge testimonial that I've never heard one business owner have anything negative to say. Never, not one. Have you, Tom?
No, I have not.
Never.
Well, we did just get our first 1-star review on Google. If you guys want to go read it.
Really? For what?
Yeah. Well, you know how it is. When you serve the public, there's always going to be someone that's pretty pleased.
I'm so shocked though to hear that, because I've never heard anyone.
Actually, I'm kind of proud of it. And here's why. I knew someday, somehow, this was going to happen. Someone's going to leave a negative review. Yeah. And I didn't know if my heart could handle it. Like,
okay.
But I responded. Actually, me and 3 other people on the team were very careful to like respond properly and sort of like call out where the balls did get dropped.
I can't wait to go read it. Now I'm just right now.
We had a blast respond to it, and I loved that I didn't die. That was my favorite part. Is that like I got it, I lived, everything's okay, and there's enough 5-star reviews that the 1-star review didn't affect our score at all. So.
All right, we got to end on that note. We're all glad that Curt did not die.
Well, having run a cleaning service, I'm sure this isn't the first experience you've had with somebody that was less than completely pleased, and
Yeah.
you kind of knew that you would be able to handle it. So
Yes,
you passed that test a long time ago.
it hadn't happened in my software company yet, so that's why I was like, oh, it's been like a decade, and I just haven't had one.
It's been a while since you've had that experience.
Yeah.
It's like riding a bicycle.
Yeah. Right.
Curt,
Review.
thank you for joining us today, kicking off Leadership Month.
Yeah.
You're awesome. You truly are. We love all of our guests, but some more so than others. And you're a pro.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing you in October. Super excited.
In Las Vegas, not Las Vegas. We're in Chicago this year, right?
Chicago.
At ISSA.
Yeah.
We'll be back next Wednesday, 5 o'clock Eastern. Smart Business Moves. Until then, you guys take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.